Hi guys, my name's Charlie, and I do the technical stuff for the Conservative Politico. Like, I created the logo and everything, as Grant mentioned a few videos ago. But today I am going to do a video for the channel about Christian apologetics. I must admit that I barely qualify as a beginner in Christian apologetics because I've only read like a book or two on the subject. But so the book that I'm reading currently is called Reasonable Faith: Christian Truth and Apologetics by William Lane Craig. And I'm personally a huge fan of Dr. Craig because I've seen like a ton of his debates, and I've seen him perform speeches and the like on Christian apologetics and defending Christianity. I must admit, it's a fantastic book. It's I'm only like halfway through it, but it's great. So what I want to talk about today, and specifically in Christian apologetics, has to do with the chapter in the book called The Existence of God. In this chapter, Craig discusses things like the cosmological argument, or cosmological arguments as a whole, which usually have to do with something like an uncaused first cause or a first mover, like in the theistic tradition. The ontological argument, which can take a variety of forms, but usually has something to do with God existing through the very definition of God, such as if we perceive a maximally great being, it's not actually a maximally great being because existence is maximally great. So a being that only exists in the mind is not actually maximally great. So in order for us to conceive a maximally great being actually has to exist in order for us to conceive of him. Because if we conceive of a maximally great being, we're not actually conceiving of an existing maximally great being. That's an ontological argument. Others are like Alvin Plantinga's version, which is maximally great being exists in some possible world. If a maximally great being exists in some possible world, exists in the actual world, and so forth. The teleological argument, which usually has something to do with complexity or design in the universe, such as William Paley's version, which is the famous watchmaker analogy, or Thomas Aquinas' version, which is that all objects move to an end, so there must be some sort of designer that moves all of these heavenly bodies to an end. But today, I wanted to discuss the aesthetic argument, which is an often overlooked argument for the existence of God. In fact, I've never even heard it used in a debate, online or professional debate. I've never heard the aesthetic argument used. It might not be that compelling, but whenever you're in the right conditions, the aesthetic argument is very persuasive, in my opinion. Recently, while reading this book, I was at Philmont Scout Ranch in Cimarron, New Mexico. Philmont is basically a high adventure base for scouts, where you have a certain itinerary and you hike for like a week or so in the New Mexico Rocky Mountains. While reading this book, I basically read it like with a view of these powerful mountains, and I know mountains are the product of plate tectonics, but I mean there has to be some deeper meaning to the beauty that we sense in the world. And so aesthetic arguments can come in two varieties. Either you presuppose that beauty is objective, like the moral argument, which presupposes that morality is objective, and you conclude that God is the best explanation for objective beauty. So like with the objective morality argument, you presuppose that morality is objective, and you infer that God is the best explanation for objective morality, which is it's the same case, basically the exact same translation for the objective beauty argument. But personally, I don't believe that objective beauty exists. I believe in subjective beauty. I once saw a Twilight Zone episode called The Eye of the Beholder, which comes from the phrase beauty is in the eye of the beholder. And basically, it depicted a civilization. And throughout the entire episode, no face is seen at all. And a woman is covered by a mask, and everybody in the episode is telling her how ugly she is and describing her ugliness to the other citizens. And in the end, it's revealed that she is perfectly normal to us, but to the pig-snouted citizens of this fantastic society, she's completely ugly. And it's revealed at the very end that, as I said, the people, the populace, the normal populace, is ugly, and the subject of their ridicule is perfectly normal to us. So the moral is that beauty is truly in the eye of the beholder. So that's the reason why I believe that beauty is subjective, because of hypothetical situations like that. And but this subjective beauty can still lead to an argument for the existence of God. Because, things like sense of humor or reliable cognitive faculties, as Alvin Plantinga argues, are in a naturalistic worldview basically incompatible with evolution, because evolution, a secular version of evolution, the naturalistic version of evolution, basically that, a demand, an environmental demand forces an organism to adapt to that environmental demand. But I don't see anywhere in our evolutionary process that humans could adapt to find a sense of beauty. That serves no evolutionary purpose. Just like, reliable cognitive faculties, like Alvin Plantinga argues, or a sense of humor. It has no evolutionary purpose, but it's definitely a personal experience that that we find in our everyday lives. And so beauty is one of these types of experiences that has no, that basically I don't believe was an adaptation. I still believe in theistic evolution, but I don't believe that it serves any biological purpose. I think it's only a spiritual experience that brings us closer to the natural world, just like a sense of humor brings us closer to other humans, or reliable cognitive faculties provide humans rationality, but none of them serve a biological purpose. So even if you believe in the objective beauty, or or that beauty is objective, then you have to either say that beauty is objective because of nature, which is basically impossible to argue, or beauty is objective because a divine entity made it beautiful for us to sense, which I think is far more compelling. Or if you believe that beauty is subjective, then you have to argue, well, what possible evolutionary adaptation could have led to a sense of beauty, or was it not an evolutionary adaptation? Was it a divine creation for us to sense beauty? So either if you believe beauty is objective or beauty is subjective, both of them can be argued for the existence of God. So that is the aesthetic argument. Obviously it comes in a lot of different forms, but that's the basic outline of the aesthetic argument. If you are a beginner in Christian apologetics, or even if you are a fully fledged Christian apologetic, then I encourage you to look for more obscure arguments for the existence of God, because if you enjoy debating religion or politics like me, then you'll often find that arguments like the Kalam cosmological argument, or arguments like the teleological argument, are very banal, and anybody who's debated it more than 5 times can realize that you pretty much know all the reputations and affirmations of each one, and it usually the same argument each time. But new arguments like the aesthetic argument can lead to a more engaging discussion on the existence of God, because everybody has to think off the top of their head of reputations, because nobody's ever heard them before. So that's basically it for today. I'm Charlie, and you can like this video, dislike it if you didn't like it, comment, favorite, whatever, and go to the conservativepolitico.org, which is the main website for CP. So that's it.